Good morning. Thank you for being here. My name is Teresa Miles. I am the proud executive director for the Women's Center of Jacksonville. We are the certified rape recovery program for Duval, Nassau, and Baker counties. We provide 24-hour care for survivors of sexual violence here in Jacksonville. So thank you for being here. We could not do this amazing work without partners. And I want to introduce and just allow some gratitude for some folks in this room who do amazing work. If you are a part of the Sexual Assault Interagency Council or the Mayor's Sexual Assault Advisory Council, would you please stand up and or wave your hands or something to be recognized? So, these are the folks who oil the engine every month and meet and talk about the needs of survivors in our community. And I also could not let this morning go by without this impressive wall back here and recognizing Jacksonville's finest here and these amazing people. So thank you all for being here. Feel very safe and secure with your presence. And also we have some wonderful dignitaries here this morning that I would love to point out. And some of you, I hope I don't miss anyone. So Council Member Jimmy Peluso, who is also a veteran and a prior sexual assault advocate. So thank you for being here this morning. And we have Council Member Jacoby Pittman. Thank you for being here. Council Member Kevin Carrico. And then I know I saw past President Sam Newby somewhere earlier. So there you are, thank you. It's good to see you. Thank you for being here. And let's see, also Councilmember Matt Carlucci. I saw him by the door. There you are, thank you. Let's see, and Gaffney. I'm acting surprised because they were all in finance meetings, so nobody's really running finance right now, is that correct? And Nick Howland, thank you. Oh, thank you, Nick, good to see you. I'm sorry, Councilmember Arias, good. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Yeah, I love it. I just wasn't prepared because you all are in meetings. So. Oh, yes, thank you. Good to see you, sir. Okay, so who am I missing, please? Oh, very good to see you. Thank you for being here. So I'm very happy to see so many people here this morning. We also have our wonderful Chief Keefe from Neptune Beach, so thank you for being here this morning. And okay, that'll put me into, let's see, anyone else that I'm failing to recognize as dignitaries in the room, so thank you all so much. And so many people behind the scenes. I would be here all morning if I tried. And of course, Hero. I don't know if anyone's had the opportunity to meet Hero. He is a therapy dog who works with victims of crime here, or with our program through therapeutic support. He came to us through Canine for Warriors and has been an amazing, you can imagine, beacon of hope for a lot of survivors who meet with him in their therapy sessions. So this is a special morning for us. We gather in recognition of the importance of awareness of sexual assault in our community. Each April, we recognize Sexual Assault Awareness Month through activities and events such as this. So we also recognize a theme, and this year's national theme is Building Connected Communities. Connected communities are built on trust, respect, and empathy. They are places where everyone feels valued. But building connected communities, it's not just about preventing sexual violence. It's about creating a culture of consent and respect. It's about teaching our children from a very young age about healthy relationships and boundaries. It's about challenging harmful stereotypes and beliefs that perpetuate violence. As individuals, we all have a role to play in building connected communities. We can start by educating ourselves and others about the realities of sexual violence. We can speak out against harmful behavior and support survivors along their healing journeys. We can also support organizations and initiatives that are working hard to end sexual violence in Jacksonville, as many of you are here in this room. So this morning, my first introduction for a speaker is to introduce to you an individual who understands more than anyone that connected communities are essential to a thriving city. The Honorable Donna Deegan, Mayor of the City of Jacksonville, stated during her acceptance speech in July of 2023 that she would open the doors of City Hall and invite everyone inside. She has kept her promise. She has rejected fear, she has claimed love, and she has inspired unity and collaboration. We thank her for her commitment to sexual assault survivors, and I welcome her this morning. Mayor Deegan.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm so grateful to be here. I'm not sure there's anything that you could ever say about me that I would like better than what you just said, so thank you so much. Thank Thank you all for coming together as we stand in support of sexual assault survivors. You'll hear from a few brave survivors later in our program, and I am really inspired by their courage and their strength after experiencing really what is the unthinkable. I'm grateful they are willing to share their stories and that someone else doesn't have to go through, or so that someone else may not have to go through what they went through. We also stand strongly against sexual violence. Any form of it is unacceptable and unwelcome in the city of Jacksonville. We must do everything within our power to prevent it. I'm encouraged by the group of leaders that are here today. With representatives from law enforcement, the justice system, city government, the nonprofit sector, the survivor community, all of us together, we can bring an end to widespread sexual violence. Let's keep looking out for one another and working together to raise awareness and educate all our neighbors about the role they can play in prevention. That's how we ensure the health, safety, and well-being of all of our citizens. To that end, I would like to declare April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month here in Jacksonville, and I want to share the following proclamation with you. Whereas during National Sexual Awareness Assault Month, we recommit to standing with survivors, holding perpetrators accountable, and bringing an end to a culture that has not done enough to stop sexual assaults from happening. And whereas sexual violence affects every community in Jacksonville, this year's Sexual Assault Awareness Month campaign theme, Building Connected Communities, calls on all of us to work together to prevent sexual abuse, harassment, and assault. And whereas more than half of all women and nearly 1/3 of all men in America have experienced sexual violence, with people of color experiencing even higher rates of sexual violence. And whereas survivors have faced this violence wherever it happens, at work, at school, and at home, it upends people's lives and threatens the safety and well-being of all who are impacted. And whereas we must remain steadfast in our commitment to building more connected, respectful, and inclusive communities to promote our collective well-being and protect against the risk of sexual violence, I hereby proclaim, as Mayor of Jacksonville, Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and encourage all citizens to join me in working together to create a society that is truly safe, where all can pursue their dreams without fear of assault, abuse, or harassment.
Marcy, who's the chair of our Sexual Assault Advisory Council. Thank you, Mayor Deegan. Okay, so our next speaker was elected in November of 2022 after beginning his law enforcement career in 1991. For more than 30 years, Sheriff T.K. Waters has dedicated his life in service to others. Throughout his tenure, he has set expectations of trust and support for victims of sexual violence. His leadership ensures that his detectives are trauma-informed in their interviewing techniques and that they work in true partnership with not only community partners, but also the state attorney's office, always keeping safety in the forefront. As an aside, I wish him luck on the kickball tournament this Saturday because you haven't brought home a trophy since 2016, sir. And so wishing you good luck, just starting with a little smack there. Come on up, Sheriff.
Sorry, man, it's not gonna work. All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to be here. So often society thinks of law enforcement in relation to offenders. We envision handcuffs in interview rooms and jail cells. But a law enforcement officer plays a vital role in advocating for crime survivors and preventing future victimization. Perhaps in no field of law enforcement is that truer than the enforcement and prevention of sexually motivated crimes. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office commits to serve survivors of sexual violence first and foremost in a way that is victim-centered and trauma-informed. Our agency fundamentally believes that empowering survivors is as critical as bringing offenders to justice. Our Special Assault Unit, standing behind me, is charged with the responsibility of investigating sexually motivated crimes and is staffed by specially trained detectives educated in culturally competent and victim-centered investigative techniques. But to ensure that our response to survivors is consistent with best practices, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office expanded our survivor-centered education to all of our officers. Today, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office trains all patrol officers, not just sex crimes investigators, on trauma-informed victim interviewing. Officers who are educated on survivor trauma not only put together better investigations, but they provide a stronger foundation for survivor-centered journey through the criminal justice system. Holding perpetrators of sexual violence accountable is critically important to ending sexual violence. But as advocates, our officers will always prioritize the physical and emotional needs of survivors that we serve above all else. By providing survivors with victim-centered trauma-informed investigations, law enforcement aids sexual violence survivors to speak up. When survivors speak their truth and shed light on what has historically remained in the dark, we in law enforcement are prepared to listen and respond quickly. We recognize that survivors' healing will not happen in interview rooms in police stations or courtrooms. But we also know that by speaking the truth, survivors reclaim lost power and gain a sense of empowerment and prevent future victimization. This year, as we focus on the 2024 Sexual Assault Awareness Month theme of building connected communities, I want survivors to know that we in law enforcement are fellow members of your community. Community and interconnectedness empower us all, survivors, allies, and police officers alike. First and foremost, investigators are public servants, charged with the responsibility of serving with a servant's heart. We strive to serve all survivors with dignity and respect because you are our community. Our law enforcement community sees your power, and we recognize your dignity, and we commit to stand with you throughout the criminal justice process. We strive to play an important role in your healing. Partner together, survivors and law enforcement advocates will build and promote better connected communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheriff. We'll see you on Saturday. So I'm joking about our kickball tournament. Each year we kick off sexual assault awareness with a kickball tournament, and it gets a little competitive. So our next speaker is with the State Attorney's Office, who, by the way, has taken home the trophy 4 out of the last 6 tournaments, but I think that might change on Saturday, so we'll see. So Melissa Nelson could not be here today, our state attorney, but she sent in her stead an amazing individual, Anna Dare Newman, who is the chief assistant of the state attorney's office. She spent more than 6 years as the director of Special Victims Unit, and she oversees an amazing, dedicated group of prosecutors who are very victim services focused. They care about each and every survivor that comes through their door. So please come on up, Adair. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It is my honor to be here today among you all for this always very important event. As I look about the room and reflect on the work of the State Attorney's Office over the years, I cannot help but to think about this year's theme, building connected communities. From the Women's Center of Jacksonville to city leadership, law enforcement, to prosecutors, to other nonprofits and service organizations, we have built a connected community that serves and supports survivors of sexual violence. Like the men and women in uniform behind me, the dedicated prosecutors and staff at the State Attorney's Office will continue to amplify survivors' voices and seek accountability and justice. Many of them are here today, and I'd like to recognize them. Thank you for your work, not just during Sexual Assault Awareness Month, but each and every day of the year. Those convicted are rapists, child predators, and others who take advantage of the most vulnerable in our community. But through the hard work of law enforcement and prosecutors, they are unable to offend again, creating a safer community for us all. Last year alone, our office filed more than 180 felonies related to sexual abuse cases. and we continue to seek and secure guilty verdicts and hold those predators accountable. Each of those cases has a survivor that our advocates and prosecutors provide guidance to and ultimately justice for. Their stories are important. This event is important, and this issue is important. On behalf of the State Attorney's Office, we will continue to do our part. And we thank you again, I thank you again for having me here and for all the work that everyone around in this room does. Thank you.
Thank you, Adair. As individuals, we all play roles in how we build our connected communities, but no one can understand this better and the importance of a connected community than to hear from those who have overcome that trauma through support from their community, but also their own strength and resiliency. So please welcome Stephanie Patton, a survivor.
I might need this a little lower. Thank you all for having me this morning. Lately, I've been thinking about all of the things I've accomplished and the people who helped me get here. And as I reflect, I wonder what would have happened if those people had only seen me for my current circumstances at that time of intervention. What would have happened if they didn't understand exploitation? And what if they didn't have the capacity to see my potential as a human being? What if they had punished me rather than poured into me? Fortunately for me, they did not judge me by my circumstances. They did see my potential, and they did pour into me. Because of that, I have excelled in numerous ways. When those individuals met me, they had no idea that I would go on to be the assistant manager of development for Rethreaded for 6 years, assisting in fundraising millions of dollars to support other survivors of human trafficking, while simultaneously using my experience and expertise to educate thousands of people around Northeast Florida. They had no idea I would go on to be awarded Survivor Advocate of the Year for the state of Florida by Attorney General Ashley Moody. They had no idea I would be appointed Survivor Leadership Council for the city of Jacksonville by former Mayor Lenny Curry. And they had no idea I would take on the role as Director of Development for a treatment center, helping people get access to the resources they needed for achieving sobriety. Because they supported me, I have been afforded the opportunity to pour into hundreds, if not thousands, of women in our community over the last 8 years. But I am one of many. And so I ask you, what does it look like for us as a community to look past a person's circumstances and see their potential? And I want you to leave here today encouraged to see past these circumstances and these situations, no matter how bad it looks, and have a vision of their potential. You never know what a person is capable of when given an opportunity. And I want to thank you again for having me here today.
Thank you, Stephanie. That was really powerful. Thank you. Our next speaker is Rashonda Jackson. She is Councilmember Reggie Gaffney Jr.'s executive assistant. She is also a successful survivor. Rashonda.
When I tell you that I am standing here terrified, let me say I'm standing here terrified. Good morning, everyone. Before I get started, I want to thank my awesome council member whose office I run and have self-dubbed myself as Chief of Staff, Councilman Reggie Gaffney Jr., who fully encouraged and supported me being here today. And I also want to thank every last Jacksonville City Council member who is standing here and who's here in this room. I want to say thank you to Mayor Deegan, a phenomenal shero in her own right, and to whom I say every time I see her that I'm her biggest fan. I want to thank Marcy and Tracy, the entire team, for fighting for us. I want to thank JSO. I want to thank you too for fighting and for standing with us. Last but not least, to the survivors, the families of survivors, families who lost loved ones, thank you. We're here today standing unwavering, unapologetic in our strength. Because of God, the support of my family, and an absolutely great, amazing church, I have a community. And because of this, I've been able to accomplish some pretty amazing things. Today, I stand before you as a resilient woman whose talents and persevering spirit has ran a few very successful organizations, who has advised some of the most powerful political leaders in Washington, Tallahassee, and in Jacksonville. I am a successful grant writer, affectionately known as the $36 million woman, an author, a speaker, a voice for those who often feel silenced by others, and a ruthless advocate for social causes and politics. I'm a mother, a daughter, a sister, an aunt, and I know it doesn't look like it, but I'm a grandmother, and I'm a great aunt. I'm a friend, I'm a leader, and I'm a mentor to hundreds. I love reading, dancing, and thinking I'm a pretty cute thug when I put on my shades while driving, listening to Master P. I share this with each of you because this road of success isn't how my life always been, but the road of tragedy I'm about to share with you isn't how it ended. At the age of 23, I was snatched out of my car. I'm a thug. I really am. I'm about it. I was kidnapped, blindfold, hogtied, raped, sodomized, and beaten. Blood splashing all over walls and floors, while a 4x4-foot grave lined with black plastic bags awaited me by someone who said he was the only person who loved me, not my family, not my friends, only him. But guess what? I survived. It took me years to come to a place where I could tell my story, even longer to mix my personal triumphs with the political career that I've been able to attain. I was ashamed, scared of judgment, and I didn't want the warmth of others' admiration for me to be spoken. So I dimmed the many truths and triumphs I've been through, repeatedly giving that pathetic piece of trash power to separate me from my community long after he was sentenced to prison. But for some strange reason, this year was different. Contributed to the boldness of women sweeping the nation in leadership. Contributed to, I sat in the audience last year and read and heard a community of voices who boldly stood in this very same spot telling their story or the story of a loved one. Or perhaps it was this theme, building connected communities. And maybe it's the increscent abundance of all three. Whatever the reason may be, I want to say to every person who has experienced sexual assault, no matter what anyone says, even if that anyone is your own thoughts, it is not your fault. You are not that situation. you can and you will see and experience a brighter, better future for yourself. And your community will be here to help you there, but you got to keep fighting. And to the loved ones who lost someone to sexual assault, I personally want to say that I'm sorry, and I know what it feels like. No one wants to be a part of this awareness, but we are here, we are a family, we are a community fighting, living, overcoming, and facing giants our loved ones couldn't. So we too cannot stop fighting. As we embark on the journey of building connected communities, let's remember that strengths of our bonds lies in our shared experiences, our empathy, and our willingness to stand together in solidarity. It is through these connections we find the power to overcome adversity, to heal from trauma, and to create positive change. Let us not assume the worst of one another, but let us reach out to one another, extending a helping hand and building bridges that unites us in common humanity. Together, we can forge a future where every individual feels valued, worth it, heard, supported, and empowered. As I conclude, I urge each of you to remember, no matter the challenges we face, we are not defined by our past traumas, but we are defined by our resilience, our strength, and our ability to rise above adversity. Let us all of us, continue to stand together as a powerful, changing community, supporting and empowering one another to create a better, brighter, more compassionate future for others. Thank you for listening to my voice.
That was amazing.
We should end there. That was very powerful. Thank you, Jonna. In conclusion, so building connected communities it's not just a goal, it really is a necessity. It's the foundation upon which we can create a world free from sexual violence. So let's continue to come together to build a world free of sexual violence, to build those communities and those connections and create that future where we can all live without fear. So thank you to our amazing survivors. Thank you to JSO, Mayor Deegan for leading the way, to our wonderful state attorney office and our sheriff, and to all of you, because you're going to leave here and you're going to carry forward this message, and we so greatly appreciate it. So have a wonderful day, and thank you all.